Well, Michelle Montague back on the Challenger Series for another year. This time you're dropping down weight class, another 10 pounds down to featherweight. I just had a quick look. They're not doing the lightweights this year. Are they doing a lightweight tournament in the PFL this year?
Not for the women, no. They dropped that for the 145. Most of the girls can make the weight, and I think they're able to bring. I think they struggled to find new 155ers to bring in the mix. Like, there's just not many girls, eh? So at least with 145, they can keep bringing new girls in when they want to.
Understandable. And obviously, your last fight on the Icon Series, you fought at featherweight very impressively as well. In your featherweight debut in the pros, how did you feel in that fight? And, particularly because that one went into the third round, so you got taken quite deep there.
Yeah, I definitely felt fit, but I honestly always do. Like, that's something that I never want to feel unfit when I'm fighting. Like, there's nothing you can do about it in the moment. So I definitely feel fitter at 145 because I dropped that little bit of extra fat, and I like that little bit of leanness to it. And I feel a little bit faster too. I wouldn't say I'm any stronger or weaker. And like in that fight there, I mean, there was one point where I remember thinking my arms were getting a bit gassed out, but it's because I was squeezing on that choke, like without like the right kind of angle. So I was kind of like almost like squeezing for nothing. So I remember in between rounds of that first and second, I had my arms up on Carlo and I was like, me.
Yeah, I remember watching that one, and it looked like I was watching that, and I was like, "Shit, I hope she's not burning her arms out now. Like the round's
Oh,
about to end. Like, girl is squeezing."
I thought I had it, mate. I really thought I had it both times, and then she just had like no neck, and I had her on this. I had her on the wrong side of me, but I couldn't pull her back, so I should have like snaked my legs through and come up onto mount. But hindsight's a beautiful thing.
Exactly, and I mean, in the end, you got the choke, so everything worked out in
Yeah,
the end.
yeah.
When you come into this fight in a couple of weeks, it looks like you're fighting someone on her debut. How do you prepare for someone who might not necessarily have a lot of tape on them?
Yeah, there's honestly about 10 seconds of like footage of her, but I remember seeing her walk around in March at the lightweight Challenger Series because she was the alternate, and I remember thinking like, this is a big girl, 5'11", and like stacked on muscle. She's not overweight at all. She just is a big rig. So I remember seeing her walk around at like the dining hall and that there, and I was like, yeah, big woman. So now she's got to make 145. So fingers crossed she makes it. And yeah, in terms of preparing for someone that doesn't have much tape like that there, I mean, honestly, for me, there's usually maybe like a couple things we'll look for in the opponent and what they do, but for the most part, like my route to success will be probably quite similar each time. My strengths in that there. So for me, it's usually the same sort of game plan. You know what I mean? Maybe different setups for different people, but like at least like for me, I don't have to change too much, for her.
Yeah, makes sense. I think everyone is. I mean, you've only had a couple of pro fights, but I think everyone knows what your MO is at this point.
Yeah, it's no secret. I mean, there's I think all 15, 16 of my fights there's video on. So like, and I think besides those decision losses at an amateur, like every single one's been a finish almost. So it's like it's obvious. It's not like, oh, what's she gonna do?
How has life been treating you in Florida? You've obviously been over there for a little while now, settling in well.
Yeah, it honestly is like thankfully it does feel like a second home. Like I'm not over here thinking like, man, I can't wait to get back home. Obviously dying to see my family and that there, but in terms of like beautiful climate the year round, the gym's super close. We've got a continuous group of girls, like all in that 135 to 165 pound like range. So just constantly girls in and out of the gym in their camps and stuff. I mean, so it definitely feels like super appropriate for what I'm trying to do this year. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Plus, there's a big too. So if I want to go down and go fishing or like whatever, like I can do that as well. So there's a good amount of like sanity check in between like your trainings or camp and that there.
how important is that for you, given that you've gone over there to focus on on your career in mixed martial arts. So I assume you're training multiple times a day. What is that, I guess, sanity check like for you?
Yeah, you're right. It can, I mean, when you first come over to a new country, like anywhere, if you haven't got homebodies there that you see daily, you do get that kind of like loneliness feeling. But I think having here and having my tight little group of girls that like we hang out like every other day kind of thing. So I have that, plus I have a buddy that I can go fishing with, quite often as well. So the things that I would be doing back home, which I mean, I don't like to do much out like with other people, but when I want to, it's the right people, it's positive people, it's out there doing something active outside. And so, for me, that is super important, like, because it's easy to get in that little rut of like feeling a bit like down and that there, especially in between fights when you haven't got anything booked, you can be a bit like, what am I doing here kind of thing. But I have, like, luckily enough, I haven't had to feel that way since I've been here, between helping other girls in the gym with their camps and then getting ready for my own, and then having this fight booked quite soon after the last one. I luckily haven't had to go through that like feeling again. You know what I mean?
And I've seen some stuff online that you've linked up with a local rugby team, helping them out. How did that come up, and how nice is it to get your hands on a ball again?
Oh, so good, eh? I remember like last year at some point I had all this free time, like, because I was in between stuff. And I think it was after the Com Games, and I had those couple of fights fall through. So I just emailed, I like Googled up like the local rugby organizer for down in Florida here, and then emailed them. It was they were just finished their 15th season, so I reached out again before the summer, before the winter here, and reached out. So then I go up, not this last 4 weeks because I've been so busy with training, but I pop up, like, it's about an hour north kind of thing, like basically like a Hamilton to Matamata drive up there and help coach the teenagers with their rugby teams up there. And there's a good group of girls as well, and that's the Wizards Rugby Club in Wellington. So they've welcomed me on board, and they want me to be the head coach of their girls group, and I really want to do that too in between my fights. So for me to get out there and just do something that feels like riding a bike, like it's just, that again adds to the feeling of, oh, it's like home away from home.
I guess America is a bit of a developing country in the rugby world. Like, how nice is it to, I guess, get in at that level where, they're probably not the most talented people you've ever seen, but you can help them grow towards that goal.
Some of these kids, mate, like, some of these kids have started so young that their skills are really good. And then they constantly bring new kids into the fold. Like every week there's new faces there. So it's just seeing them build the interest for it. I mean, I remember when I was at high school in Matamata, and like after my first 2 years of high school, we had no coach. And so we never had 15 players in the field for the most part as well. So even in those small towns in New Zealand, it struggles. And back when I was there, 10 years ago. Now, though, at least over here, they're kind of going through that, it's just that phase now. But they have a whole Olympic program for sevens. They've got a great 15s team as well. They just played at the World Cup. So I think the way they're growing now is like maybe like 5 or 10 years just behind us in terms of 15s. And to be a part of like this group of girls coming through, and some of their skills, like I said, are like they have honestly been playing for like 5 years already, and they're only like 15.
Bloody good. It'd be nice to see some more countries get competitive in that sport. Anyway,
I know.
Back to fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've had a good group of girls come through the gym. Obviously, we've seen some pretty big names down in the American top team. Is there anyone in particular that, leading into this fight, you've learned anything like particularly gripping?
Obviously my main training partner is Kayla. We're just the perfect size. We have similar fighting styles and stances and that there. So the most amount of work I do is with her. Between her fights and my fights, I learn a lot through that there in the grappling side and setups for my takedowns and stuff. And then this camp I've been able to work with Tiago for my striking a lot, which has been awesome. And I've actually been training a lot with Yana Kanitsakaya, or Yana Santos now.
Santos, yeah.
Yeah. And that's been awesome as well. She's fighting Holly next, so she needs a southpaw chick. I'm no kickboxing world champ, that's for sure, but like it's still like good to have a body like the exact same size of you. You're both in your camps. So we've been working a lot together this last sort of 4 weeks, and I've been taking a lot away from those sessions as well. You know, she's a veteran in the UFC, and so there's so many small little things that like you only get through experience. Like you can have the same sort of like skill sets in some areas, but there's so many of these small little details of in the training that we're doing in live sessions that I'm like, oh, okay, that's like, that feels like I can feel the experience like when she's doing some stuff to me, you know. So I'm like banking that as I go.
How do you feel your striking is coming along over the last few months?
Yeah, it's improved like tenfold day. I've just been putting the work in. That's like the only thing I can do is put in the work, like keep getting humbled, keep getting chances to try what I'm learning, like in those one-on-one sessions, like with the girls in live trainings. And for me, you know, I feel like every like 2 weeks I feel more and more comfortable and confident like with it, you know what I mean? It's not something I've done a lot of in the past until probably the last sort of few years. So being able to put some good time and effort into that between camps and even at this like throughout this camp has been really beneficial for me. And again, working with Pitbull has been amazing.
Do you feel like, you know, your stars sort of starting to rise in the sport? I know leading into this fight, you've done a lot of interviews, people kind of starting to know your name a little bit more. Have you sort of felt that?
No, not at all. I mean, PFL is such a professional, like well-run route machine. Like they set up every girl and guy that's fighting. They make sure that they get all the little blips of interviews. So that feels normal for PFL, and even with Icon as well. When you're in America, all the time zones link up. You can get it in quickly and not have to be up early like you probably have today. And so yeah, no, I don't think so at all. I mean, I certainly don't deserve to have it up there yet either, because I've only had those 2 pro fights, you know what I mean? So, and I've only been over here for what, year and a half as well. So, you know, my time will come, and there's no hurry on that either, you know what I mean? I'm super patient in the whole process.
I guess just lastly, how do you see this fight against your opponent playing out? I do have her name written down here. Shaquita Woods.
That's the one.
Yes.
I imagine she's going to be like really physically strong. Like she's much bigger than me structurally. So, but we'll both be very strong. So I feel like it's just going to be a matter of like us, or each person not expending all the energy in those sort of like strength battle exchanges. And I'm confident with my like game plan and that I can use my striking, my setups, my takedowns, my grappling to get what I want in the end of this, and that's a finish. So hopefully I don't need to spend 3 rounds doing it. But again, like she's a pretty game chick, like in terms of like she's a professional, you know. You see her training stuff, and like she's tried to have a few fights and they've fallen through. So I definitely do not underestimate this woman at all. But I know that like I'm very confident to do what I do best, and to get the finish of her.
So, and is Carlo coming over to corner you again, or is it just going to be local guys?
I'm picking up on Saturday at the airport. Yeah, so he gets in Saturday afternoon and we drive up to Orlando. So like a 3-hour drive on Tuesday, weigh-in Thursday, fight Friday, and then he flies back out Saturday to head over basically to Serbia for the IMAF World Champs with our New Zealand team. So yeah, I'm so grateful that he can just, you know, suck it up and get over here to be in my corner. So I have him and Kayla in the corner for this, and yeah, that for me is like two sections of my home, and like people that are very like positively harsh on me in the corner too. So no sugarcoating, just like straight to the point. And I'm very stoked to have him coming over for this.
Excellent. Well, we'll leave it there and let you get about your day. Thank you very much for the time as always, and hope everything goes to plan.
Yeah, mate. I'll see you later, eh?
Sweet. See ya.
Bye.